August 29th, 2018. Eyes in the sky scan a wooded area of Virginia.
In the middle of this beautiful Virginia forest, there's a seemingly perfect little town. There's a track and field, a soccer field, schools, a church.
But this is no normal town.
Something's definitely going on here because nothing is going on here.
There are no cars on the road. There's nobody walking on the sidewalks. There doesn't seem to be anyone who's living here in a place that looks perfectly inhabitable. Image analysts scan the wider area for clues.
As I start to look even further and further out here, there's buildings that are kind of shaped like H's, which I've actually seen before in military barracks.
Military expert Martin Morgan has a theory. We might be dealing with MOUT site. That stands for MOUT, Military Operations in Urban Terrain, created for the purpose of training personnel for operations in an urban environment. Yet something about this training facility troubles analysts.
Typically, those mock-up towns are made to look like a village in, say, Afghanistan or Iraq. What's really weird about this is that it looks like a town that you would see anywhere in Middle America. In what scenario is the American military preparing to deploy in an American town?
Analysts uncover a bizarre lead in U.S. military files.
It's hard to believe, but the US government actually has plans for what to do in the event of zombies attacking America.
The training manual, codenamed CONOP 8888, details how soldiers should fight the undead to the death.
The document even lists different types of zombies, to include pathogenic zombies that may have been infected by a virus to radioactive zombies.
Around 15% of Americans have a survival plan ready should revenants ever rove our towns hunting for human flesh. And it appears the U.S. military does too.
The plans are incredibly detailed. The way to kill a zombie is to concentrate all firepower at the head, and then you have to burn the corpse for risk of the zombie coming back to life. It also includes defensive measures to protect American citizens.
Military journalist Carlo Munoz considers if the carbon copy town is designed to prepare for something Americans fear even more than zombies. It's not inconceivable that the U.S. military would build a facility like this to plan for martial law. Martial law is the use of military force to impose the will of the government on the people. Historically, it's been limited to periods of violent unrest or the aftermath of major disasters. Yet some American citizens fear that could soon change. The idea of martial law in the United States is truly a terrifying prospect. Imagine a situation where there's a mandatory curfew.
You would see tanks rolling down your street. You would see weapons. You would be under control of the military.
In recent years, U.S. presidents have been accused of attempting to increase executive powers without seeking approval from Congress. And the 2012 National Defense Authorization Act sanctions the arrest and detention without trial of anyone, including American citizens. Under martial law, the U.S. Constitution, basically the backbone of American society, would mean nothing.
And for many people, just that idea is enough to send shivers up their spine.
Events from 2015 demonstrate just how much some fear the imminent implementation of direct military control in the U.S. Thousands of U.S. forces deployed to the southern states in an operation known as Chain L. Now, a number of people in those states actually saw the exercise as something that was a precursor to martial map of the exercise marks Texas as hostile. This fuels paranoia that Washington is using troops to take control of the Lone Star State and its 1.4 million gun owners.
What's rather unique about the United States is that we really, since the Civil War, haven't had any active warfare on our streets. So the sight of military Humvees and marauding troops is too much for some.
It got so bad that Texas Governor Greg Abbott actually had to deploy the Texas National Guard, not to watch the exercise or participate in it, to actually watch the residents to make sure they did not shoot at the U.S. forces. In response to queries about the strange town seen from space, officials issue a statement. It wasn't created so that the American military could be well prepared to fight off the zombie apocalypse. It was created to fight off something that's much more sinister because it could actually happen. The military claims it's preparing for terrorists invading American towns and taking over their streets, churches, and schools. It's very likely that enemies of the United States of America can infiltrate the country, and we need personnel prepared to handle eventualities of terrorist attacks in settings like that. It's spooky, really. Coming up, what's hidden in these weird woods? The density of energy produced is only found in exploding stars and frying brains in the Rocky Mountains.
This could have been like a mass experiment in human mind control.
This is not the story of a struggle between good and evil, between a god and a demon. Actually, it's just a story of a hunter and his prey. In this case, the predator is microscopic and it broods in its victim. Diseased microbes can be formidable predators, not only to attack and ultimately kill, but also to take over their hosts, changing their behavior to spread their microorganisms to other hosts. We're in that poor, unlucky dog's blood, no fault of his own, only because of his chance encounter with a rabid bat. He now finds himself the main character in a zombie horror story. Those bullets are the rabies virus. When this is injected into the resident's bloodstream, the dog that loves people, they head towards the dog's brain, the limbic system, where the control buttons for anger are located. The rabies virus attacks nerve cells, turning the poor animal into a predatory, snarling animal. A ferocious predator with no loyalty or love to anyone. Rabid animals can be fearless. Now that the limbic system has been conquered, another detachment of rabies viruses is sent to the saliva production machines in the dog's throat. Their job is to put the nerves into overdrive while paralyzing them to swallow. This maximizes the chance of infected saliva to leave the dog and invade the next target. But how is such a degree of tactical coordination possible by a virus? How can a virus know which part of another living thing? Is the brain the seat of anger? We ourselves did not realize this until very recently. This is the power of evolution by natural selection. Given enough time, a random mutation will, no matter how specialized. Let's say the ability of a virus to paralyze a victim's throat will take over. If it increases the chances of the virus surviving, will be transferred. All it needs in every generation is a victim. Carries the disease, keeping that evil flame alive. The transformation from family protector to wild-eyed demon is complete. The dog is angry, although he does not know why. As a helpless pawn of the viruses inside him, he cannot resist the urge to attack. If the attack is successful, viruses in the dog's saliva enter the victim's bloodstream through lesion or rupture. And then, they will start to take over this new victim. The rabies virus is a great manipulator. He knows how to pull his victims in strings. Coordinates his attacks, dodges defenses, infiltrate, besiege, strike a blow in its prey, and the kindest among us the most severe. We are at the mercy of invisible forces. Viruses, microbes, hormones, our own DNA. Where does programming end and where free will begin? Everything in this narrative is my personal opinion. You can agree or criticize. The subject of this video will be about a movie. Speaking of the rabies virus, it's a relevant movie. I talked about the zombie virus and its possible mutations in my previous videos, but this is a similar but different theory. Attention, you must know, before watching the movie contains a lot of blood and gore scenes. In this movie called The Sadness, he talks about a rabies mutation that drives people crazy with a brain that makes people aggressive just like the zombie virus, but does not lose consciousness. The COVID attack could be just a trial in my opinion, because you've heard rumors that the COVID-19 outbreak is a lab-developed virus. In other words, will humanity gradually move towards a global extinction? What's next now? Take a good look at the scenes you see in the movie. People are crazy. The whole city is full of crazy, aggressive, but smart zombies. Now some friends I saw in old videos may think that the zombie virus is not real, and they may be partially right. Maybe we won't turn into the slow and unconscious animals in the classic zombie movies we know, but maybe we will turn into a much faster and more dangerous monster. Viruses have been able to evolve on their own for years with mutations, and they are trying to hide from us that there are millions of years old undiscovered viruses in the glacial drillings in Antarctica. So why are they constantly trying to create a mutant virus, and why does it spread to the world usually through China? Keep watching the video. The main character of the movie suddenly finds herself among people who are crazy like rabid dogs, and these people turn into maniacs not to eat, but only to kill. A similar movie called Kingsman was released in 2014, and is almost the same. Now, if we took things a little more seriously, let's move on. Likewise in Kingsman, people were turning into maniacal and violent killers with an epidemic, conscious but not understanding why, and they had an implant in their neck. Does it sound familiar from somewhere? Vaccines injected into people hastily, and I hope it's not what I was thinking. All of humanity, we should have been more vigilant. We don't know if it's too late for everything, but we know well that there is a society that wants to keep the world population under 500,000. Do you think our world and people are like 30 years ago? Every day, violence, war, injustice, dozens of innocent people killed, and people getting aggressive, the increase of people using antidepressants, diseases that are becoming increasingly intolerant and making the world hell, nature and natural resources that we destroy. I have a question here. Will we destroy the world, or will a mutant virus destroy us humans, and make the world a better place? I look forward to your replies and comments. If you like my video, you can support me by subscribing and sharing the video with your relatives so that our channel produces better quality content. I love you so much. See you in new videos.